6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Danushka Madawala and read by J. Yogaraj. First the headlines. Sri Lanka commits to net zero carbon emissions by 2040 while pursuing economic goals. The death toll from the adverse weather conditions in the country has risen to 24. 5 High Commissioners and 9 ambassadors present credentials to the President. The President and Prime Minister congratulates Indian Premier Modi on his third term of the office. News Overseas allies back Modi for third term after election setback. In sports, FIFA warned on human rights over World Cup bids, and those are the headlines. President Ranil Wickremesinghe announced that Sri Lanka is committed to achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2040 while pursuing its economic goals. He noted that Sri Lanka is the first country in Asia to incorporate the global objective of zero carbon emissions into its national policy. He made these remarks during the World Environment Day celebrations held at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday. The President emphasized that the Sri Lanka's approach to climate change and environmental issues goes beyond traditional programs and is now integrated into the country's economic and foreign policies. He also highlighted that the upcoming Climate Change Act and the establishment of the Climate Change Center will create a comprehensive legal framework for addressing environmental and climate change issues, a framework that is unique compared to other countries. President Ranil Wickremesinghe highlighted Sri Lanka's proactive role in recent COP conference on climate change and other international platforms. He announced a significant initiative. The draft for establishing the International University on Climate Change in Sri Lanka is expected to be enacted before June next year. The President expressed skepticism about the financial commitments from the Western world and developed countries to address climate change. He noted that the money spent by the US and Europe this year on the war in Ukraine could have funded climate change efforts for 2 years. The Disaster Management Center says that the death toll from the adverse weather conditions in many parts of the country has risen to 24. Meanwhile, 41 persons have been injured due to various incidents caused by the extreme weather conditions. More than 248,000 persons from 65,450 families within 122 divisional secretariat divisions of 13 districts across the country have been affected by the prevailing disaster situation. 10,833 people belonging to 2,368 families have been moved to 159 regional relief centers established across the country. State Minister of Defence Premita Bandarathanakon chaired a meeting yesterday with representatives of UN agencies, international non-governmental organizations and NGOs to brief them on the ongoing rescue and relief operations to assist adverse weather-affected communities. The State Minister presented the UN, INGO and NGO officials with the latest development in weather and progress of the ongoing relief operations carried out by disaster management authorities through district and divisional secretariats in coordination with Triforces, Sri Lanka Police, Civil Security Department and other state officials. He highly appreciated the assistance and the cooperation that was readily facilitated by the UN agencies, INGOs and NGOs for providing relief to flood victims, and he said that more was needed to be done in post-disaster repair and rebuilding stages to restore civilian life affected by this disaster. The Disaster Management Center says that the flood warning for the Kalu River Basin issued on the 1st of June 2024 has been further extended for the next 48 hours. Residents in those areas and vehicles travelling through those areas have been requested to remain vigilant. Many floods have been reported in the Putupola and Millakanda areas due to Kaluganga, while major floods have been reported in Baddegama due to Ginganga and Talagoda due to the Nilwala River. Minor floods have been reported in N Street due to the Kalani River and Elagahawa due to Kaluganga, and in Panadugama due to the Nilwala River, and in Dunamala due to Attanagalu Oya. Yellow alerts have been issued to the Ratnapura and Magura areas due to the Kaluganga overflow. This news comes to you from Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. President Ranil Wickremesinghe received the credentials of 5 newly appointed High Commissioners and 9 ambassadors to Sri Lanka at the Colombo Fort President's House yesterday. The High Commissioners representing New Zealand, the Republic of Cyprus, the Maldives, the Republic of Sierra Leone and the Republic of Mauritius were presented, and additionally ambassadors from Republic of Guatemala, the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria, the Republic of Estonia, and the Lahore People's Democratic Republic, and the Republic of Colombia, the Republic of Turkey, Ireland, and the Republic of Bulgaria also handed over their credentials. A brief ceremony was organized at the Colombo Fort Presidential Palace to officially welcome the new High Commissioners and Ambassadors. Minister of Foreign Affairs Ali Sabri, PC, along with President Secretary Saman Ekanaka were also present at this occasion. Following the acceptance of the credentials, President Ranil Wickremesinghe engaged in friendly discussion with the newly appointed High Commissioners and Ambassadors. A senior advisor to the President on National Security and Chief of Staff to the President, Sagala Ratnayaka, Secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Aruni Vijayawardena, and other officials also attended the event. President Ranil Wickremesinghe extended congratulations to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the BJP-led NDA's electoral victory during a telephone conversation last night. The Presidential Media Division said that the Prime Minister Modi extended an invitation to President Wickremesinghe to attend to his swearing-in ceremony during the conversation, which the President accepted. Prime Minister Modi expressed his gratitude for the telephone call and kind wishes from President Ranil Wickremesinghe regarding his election win, emphasizing the significance of Sri Lanka as a key partner in India's neighborhood first policy. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena yesterday congratulated Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on his victory at the Lok Sabha election. The Prime Minister, in a congratulatory message to his Indian counterpart, said that Sri Lanka is committed to work together with India to overcome challenges and explore new opportunities for enhancing cooperation. And that's local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Veda.
Education Minister Susil Premchand told Parliament yesterday that the Education Ministry has already taken measures to fill 10,535 teacher vacancies in national schools within the next 2 weeks. The Minister further said that steps have been taken to recruit 6,000 teachers at provincial level. The Minister said this while joining the debate on education yesterday. The Minister also said that the country's education sector suffered a severe setback by the year 2022 due to the post-COVID-19 crisis situation. All the examinations were delayed by around 6 months. Since 2019, teacher training sessions had not been held and all recruitment has stopped. And that was top news.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Veda.
Moving on to Watchlight, the Southern Province Secretary of Education has stated that all schools in the Galle and Matra districts will reopen for academic activities today. The Secretary added that the zonal education directors are empowered to decide on reopening flood-affected schools and those being used as shelters for the displaced. And that was Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
The headlines: Allah is back. Modi for third term after election setback. Israel launches new military operations in central Gaza. UN chief has requested world to ban fossil fuel ads to save climate. And those are the headlines of the world news. Narendra Modi is set to be the India's Prime Minister for the third time, a day after humbling election results, which saw his majority slashed by a resurgent opposition. Mr. Modi was backed to be Prime Minister again following a meeting with the National Democratic Alliance, NDA, on Wednesday, and the 73-year-old had found himself unexpectedly reliant on the NDA's smaller parties to reach a parliamentary majority after his own party fell short of 272 needed to form the next government. However, the opposition, which won 232 seats to the NDA's 293, has yet to formally concede. It was holding its own meeting on Wednesday in the capital Delhi to discuss next steps. The Israeli military says it has taken operational control over eastern areas of Bureij refugee camp and the town of Deir al-Balah in central Gaza, as dozens of Palestinians were reported killed. On Wednesday morning, the military said troops backed by the airstrikes had begun an operation against terrorists and terrorist infrastructure above and below ground. Residents reported intense bombardment, and the charity Medicines Sans Frontiers said at least 70 people dead. The United Nations yesterday said that the world's fossil fuel industries should be banned from advertising to help save the world from climate change. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres called coal, oil and gas corporations the godfathers of the climate chaos, who had distorted the truth and deceived the public for decades. Just as tobacco advertising was banned because of the threat to health, the same should now apply to fossil fuels, he said. So that's world news. Development news. The government has decided to establish a brand new consolidated and dedicated agency named Enterprise Sri Lanka for the monitoring and development of Sri Lanka's struggling small and medium sector efficiently. President Ranil Wickremesinghe, in his capacity as the Ministry of Investment Promotion, joined with the Minister of Industries Ramesh Pathiran and sought the approval of the Cabinet of Ministers to establish proposed institution Enterprise Sri Lanka as one entity. And that came to you in Development News.
Moving on with sports news.
FIFA must rigorously and transparently ensure bids to host the 2030 and 2034 Men's World Cups safeguard human rights, says Amnesty International. In a new report, the campaign group insists the world governing body must terminate any agreement to host the tournament if human rights are jeopardized or violated. Last year, FIFA confirmed that Spain, Portugal and Morocco will be co-hosts in 2030, with the opening 3 matches taking place in Uruguay, Argentina and Paraguay. Saudi Arabia is the sole bidder for the 2034 tournament. And that was sports news.
Go ekak tiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Halgolda Estate Shrines gets a global benchmark with the triple crown of world firsts. And this was revealed at a press briefing held in Colombo recently. Halgolda certification was awarded after a stringent process, evaluating the estate's approach to farming that has to adhere to a variety of factors, including preservation, soil health, encouraging biodiversity, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and sequestering of CO2. And that was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak tiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
In economic news, Nvidia's market value has surged past $3 trillion, lifting the chipmaker ahead of Apple to become the second most valuable publicly listed company in the world. The firm's share price rose more than 5% on Wednesday to more than $1,224. It extended a breathtaking rapid climb that started last year, powered by bets that the firm is positioned to be a major winner from a wave of investment in artificial intelligence. Its market value now sits just behind Microsoft, another key player in the industry, thanks to its investments in ChatGPT maker OpenAI. Weather report. The Met Department says several spells of showers will occur in western, sub-Brahmo, southern and northwestern provinces and in Kandy and Nuwara districts. Showers or thunder showers may occur at a few places in eastern and Uva provinces in the evening or night. Strong winds of about 40 to 50 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over northern and north-central, northwestern provinces and in Hambantota district. General public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers. And that was the weather report to wind up this news broadcast. Let's look at the main points once again. Sri Lanka commits to net zero carbon emissions by 2040 while pursuing economic goals. The death toll from the adverse weather conditions experienced in the country has risen to 24. 5 High Commissioners, 9 Ambassadors present credentials to the President. The President and Prime Minister congratulates Indian Premier Modi on his 3rd term of the office. Foreign news, allies back Modi for 3rd term after election setback. In sports, FIFA warned on human rights over World Cup bids. With that, we conclude this morning news broadcast of Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation and